if we were up at the polo grounds and you heard a fervent feminine voice crying out with great emotion,
"Come on, Artie! Come on, Artie! A homer!"
and I whispered to you, believe it or not, that's Tallulah Bankhead, would you be surprised? Well, don't be, because she's here right now, and I want to present one of the best baseball fans in the country, Miss Tallulah Bankhead.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for introducing me as a ball fan, because that's the way I feel. I want to talk as one fan to another. To you boys listening in out there, wherever you are, you're the greatest team in the world. This is the final game in a different kind of World Series, and you're going to win. We're going to win. I say we because you're our team. And believe me, we're rooting for you and working for you.
Well, Tallulah, you're speaking for me, for every fan, for every ball player in the nation. Now, if you don't mind, may I ask you a few questions?
If you promise not to throw any curves or pass ones.
Well, with my arm, you can see the stitches on them as they come up. Well, now, as a ball fan, tell me, what are your feelings toward Major League Baseball at the present time?
I believe that today, more than ever before, baseball is the great American game. As you know, President Roosevelt has asked that more night games be scheduled to provide recreation for those working long hours in the war industry. Baseball is one of the symbols of our democratic heritage, and it should remain as such. You know yourself, Paul, it's the only game where the fan makes every play, throws every pitch, calls every decision. You become completely a part of the game, and we need that for the morale of the country. After all, Paul, can you imagine second-guessing an umpire in Gestapo land?
It's a pretty horrible thought, Tallulah. By the way, you have a wonderful running knowledge of the jargon of the game. How long have you been interested in Major League Ball?
Shame on you for such a short memory. Why, you took me to see my first game at the Polo Grounds.
Oh, forgive me. I'm blushing. I mean it.
I blush, too, sometimes for my John. But not this year.
Wait a minute. Just a second. Is that a statement for the press? My Giants?
I bet every man listening in has his favorite team. The Red Sox, the Cards, the Cubs, and the White Sox. Cincinnati, the A's, the Tigers, the Browns, the Phillies, and the Braves. And the Brooklyn Dodgers. Oh, by the way, how do they look?
Well, in some respects, they look just like last August.
No, you mean burned out?
I don't mean that at all. They've already beaten the Giants twice in exhibition games.
Well, the chips aren't down yet. But what I really want to say is that every one of us has our teams. And we should stick by them no matter what place they're in now. After all, it's the finish that counts.
Oh, that's so true, Tallulah. And now to go back for just a moment, when we were blushing a second ago, you said something about your Giants and not this year. Would I take that for a prediction or just what?
I'm optimistic about a lot of things. But I'd like to broadcast the news that Mel Ott has been made manager of the New York Giants. It's possible that some of the men overseas haven't heard the news. But when this season is over and my Giants have won the pennant, they will, won't they?
Personally, I like Cardinals this year.
No, well, let's not get personal.
Thank you.
From what I gather in the Grapefruit League, a good many of the old-timers are coming back to replace the men who've already gone to the armed forces. But you've talked a lot to the players, Paul. Just how do they feel?
Well, Tallulah, the ball players practically to a man express one opinion. They know they have a job that's expected of them, a job they've been asked to do. The country needs baseball, and they'll play their best. But by the same token, there's not one of them, when Uncle Sam calls, that won't drop his bat and shoulder a gun.
That's American baseball. That's why it's such a great game. It's the men who play it. And before I leave, I want to say this to you fellas in our Army and Navy and Marine Corps. On December the 7th, the enemy stole a base. It wasn't a fair play. But God umpires this game. And he'll call that play in due time. Meanwhile, boys, you keep on pitching. Strike 'em out. Cut 'em down 1, 2, 3. We're backing you at home plate. We can only give you the good old assist, but that's half of the put out. And we've all gone to bat for you. In the steel mills and the coal pits, along the semi-lines in our professions and our homes. You're our team. And we love you. And we depend upon you. And we swear by you. You simply have to win. You know, fellas, there's a pennant that's been flying around here since 1776. Keep it flying.
For this is my country to love.
Thank you, Tallulah Bankhead and Paul Douglas.